Hi friends! So today's video is going to be sort of like an experiment or a proposition rather, as in I will propose a video series idea and you will tell me in the comments if you're down for it or no. This will help me see if you're interested in the subject, because it does take a lot of work, and with my second semester starting now, plus other stuff that I'm going to be taking up, I won't have much time to do a lot for these videos, so let's see if this idea sticks. So there's a video on YouTube that's like 10 biggest editing errors on Drag Race, and one of those 10 is about season 3's Confessionals, where I believe the editors in one scene where they use Shangela's Confessionals cut to the workroom and then her voice over and then cut back to her in the confessionals, but they used confessionals from two different shootings because the Shangela's Confessionals look was different, but they sold it as the same thing. I don't know if I'm making sense here, but it's essentially this thing that you can see on your screen now. Mind you, before season 5, the confessionals looks were basically what the girls wore out of drag in the workroom, so you'll see in one episode like 3 different out of drag looks from queens in the confessionals. This is basically what I want this video series to be, figuring out when the editors used confessionals clips from the wrong days in order to maybe figure out which storylines were pushed by the producers in the makings of the episodes, and subsequently the seasons. I'll show you what I mean by this with the first episode of season 1 of Drag Race. Excuse the poor quality of the screenshots, we're talking about season 1 after all, and I couldn't find an HD version of the season to download, so this is the best that I can offer for now. So, in the first episode, there were 4 sets of confessionals filmed, and we'll use Ongina's confessionals as an example, as she's the only queen that had all 4 confessionals shown. The first confessionals are of when the queens introduced themselves for the first time, and I'm assuming that these were filmed before entering the workroom and before getting into drag and then entering the workroom, because they mostly look put together out of drag. The second confessional was filmed, I'm pretty sure, after the first day of shooting, because the girls in the confessionals were in their workroom looks after the first mini challenge. The only girl that didn't get her second confessionals in is Jade, for whatever reason. For the third confessionals, I believe they were filmed before the girls got in drag before the runway, because we see Ongina and Rebecca in the workroom in their confessionals looks, or I guess it's the other way around. We see them in the confessionals in their workroom looks. And the final confessionals are, I assume, from after the first elimination and after the first runway when the queens got out of drag. Now let's go on to the more interesting part for these confessionals and how the show used them to give us the episode story. I found only a couple of instances of the editors using confessionals from the wrong days just to push a certain narrative or whatever. First, they used a Rebecca confessional from day 2 about something that happened on day 1. So when the girls first came into the workroom, Tammy was allegedly being kind of flirty, I guess, with Rebecca, or she was looking at her in a weird way or whatever. It's possible that Rebecca just forgot to talk about that during her first confessional and got back to it in this one. Maybe the producers just asked her because she forgot to talk about it, or maybe they didn't have much of anything else to put into the episode, so they put this in. Who knows? But yeah, there is that. Next instance of this has to do with Chanel. When the girls are told what the maxi challenge is, we cut to Chanel's confessional pre-entering the workroom, so this look, where she talks about how many costumes, dresses, etc. she brought, and then there's a cut to the workroom and a clear cut in the audio, where she then talks about the maxi challenge. So here we have an instance of the editors using 2 confessionals for one narrative, similar to that one of Shangela's I mentioned earlier in the video, but this time they did not show Chanel's second confessional. We only heard the audio, but again, the cut from the first confessional to the second one is really obvious. And lastly, they used Nina Flowers' pre-game confessional about how long it takes her to get into drag for the scene where she was actually shown getting into drag before the first runway on day 2. We know that this is not from the same day because, well, look at her confessional look from when she was introducing herself, and this one in the workroom. Interestingly enough, for some reason, Porkchop got 2 confessionals in the same outfit on the same day, but with a different back background. Don't know why I said interestingly enough. That's not very interesting, but it's worth noting. It's worth noting. Yeah, so essentially that's the idea. Going over the first seasons of Drag Race, figuring out if and when different confessionals were used to push a certain narrative, etc. You know, we tend to, I tend to, a lot of the times criticize the editors and the producers, and a lot of the time with a reason when they take advantage of the queens, but they do have a tough job and have to present a story for each queen in a span of 40 minutes or an hour, so we can cut them some slack. Just some. That's it. That's the video. I'd love to hear your feedback on the idea and if you want to see more of this, and of course suggestion as to how this could be better. So there's this and that and such and those, and yeah.